Hello, my name is Zach Rye with Old Man Gaming. Welcome to another episode of What Does It Need? You guys seem to really like this show. I did 2 episodes so far. I talked about Windrose and I talked about No Man's Sky the last 2 times. So I decided to keep it going. Keep this good vibes going. Unfortunately, good vibes is not what we're going to be doing today because we're going to be talking about Skull and Bones. And probably longtime fans of the show who potentially listen to the podcast as well, and I expect none of you really to actually do that, will be very confused by the title of this because I have stopped playing this game. You will also be well aware of my tumultuous ride and relationship with this game. Nonetheless, I am only slightly removed from it. It hasn't been a long time since I put it down, so I feel that I am still qualified enough to make a call as to what I think it needs. So we're going to talk about that. Before we do, well, let's say the title. This episode is going to be, What Does Skull and Bones Need? And here's the thing. Just to disclaimer this, on what I've just been talking about. The reason I put this game down is because of Ubisoft. I can't be okay with giving them money anymore, given their practices and how they treat their employees. And this is nothing on the developers, like the individual actual developers, because they make really quality products that they don't give up on, which I really respect. Another game that I've had to put down that I've played for almost 10 years is For Honor. And that is a game that was a forever game for me for a long time, but I just won't play it anymore because I won't give Ubisoft my time. Like, I just can't be okay with that company. That being said, I've only put Skull and Bones down about 3 months ago, so they're just now launching this big new seasonal update right on the heels of canceling potentially indefinitely their third person sword fight combat mechanics that they were going to add to the game. So we got to talk about it. Skull and Bones, for anybody out there who doesn't know, I mean, definitely check out my review and my after 50 of it, but for anybody who doesn't know, it is a naval combat based massive multiplayer online game. You take up the role of ship's captain. Everybody else is NPC. You build ships. You take those ships out. You sink other ships. There is no real boarding mechanics. There's a boarding mechanic, but it's like a finishing move. There's no sword fighting. There's none of that. You do go on land and you see your character, but that's only to search for things and to talk to people. There is absolutely no sword fighting in it. It's all naval-based combat, which is okay with me because my favorite thing about pirates is usually the naval combat. So I'm always excited about the naval combat. So I was very excited for this game. I was maybe one of the only people who was actually excited for this game. Then it came out. I do feel like I spent too much money on it, but I actually really enjoyed it when it came out. However, since then, it has gone down this weird path. And so we have to talk about what it needs more than anything else to be good. And I know a lot of you are probably going to be like, sword fighting! For the love of God, sword fighting! And I don't necessarily disagree with you, especially after they announced that and the update that they were going to do with that and then canceled that. I think there's a basis for your anger. But that's not what I think this game truly needs. I mean, I don't think that adding a sword fighting mechanic will fix this game. Because one of the big reasons I put it down permanently, other than Ubisoft's practices, was the faction war. So one of the things that I was actually excited about for Season 3 was they announced that it was going to be features based. One of those features being the sword combat that they've now canceled. But there was also going to be this faction war where 2 factions actually get into a war and you basically get to take the side as a privateer on one or the other, and then you get to help decide how the war ends, and that will change the world around you. None of that happened. You fought in this faction war, and you just repeatedly did the same thing over and over again, and whoever won got a coat. That's basically how I looked at it. One of the biggest problems facing Skull and Bones is the fact that it is so many transactions in it. And I'm not talking about microtransactions here, because there's plenty of those. Most of them are cosmetic, so whatever. But like, there is like 97 forms of currency in this game. There's so much grinding, so much of that, and it's very samey without actually having any agency on the world. And I think one of the things we've learned from the success of Arrowhead's Helldivers 2 is that players in a world like this want to have agency over it. They want it to change based on their decisions and how it works. They want to have ups and downs. Nothing changes on the Indian Ocean. So, what does Skull and Bones need? It needs a meta gameplay. It needs that loop. Basically, all the updates that they come out center around some sort of battle pass, some sort of grindy mechanic, some sort of grindy currency. None of these updates really deal with the problem that Skull and Bones faces, and that is lack of reason to come back to it. Once you have all the ships that you want, once you've done all your builds, sure, you can keep grinding and get more ships, but who cares? If there's no reason to. You have no agency on the world. You can't take over cities and have them be yours, other than in the underground network, but that really doesn't change your interaction with anybody or anything. You can't fight in this war, let's say, and it doesn't change how the company, one of the factions, interacts with the other ones. Another thing, let's say you're sailing and you sink like 30 DMC ships of this one faction. That faction will get really mad at you and send guys after you, but if you sail really fast, after 30 seconds, they don't care anymore. And they've completely forgot that you did it in the first place. The game has no memory. It is this fully realized world that is very pretty. Like, sailing in the game is incredibly fun. The world is incredibly fun. There's all these boats around you and all of this interactivity that goes nowhere. And I think that's the biggest problem with Skull and Bones is I don't even hate the base storyline that it has. It's pretty basic, but the characters are interesting, but they never change. You never actually kill the main bad guy. You never actually kill this boss, because that boss is going to keep spawning and you're going to keep killing them over and over and over and over and over and over and over again without any actual agency. You don't have any really player choice or interactivity with the world. It's just grinding for different levels of currency and different crafting supplies to build the thing that you're looking for, to then decide to go to something else. One of the biggest problems I hit with Skull and Bones is I would get really excited about a ship build, like taking a certain ship and its basic abilities and then kitting it out with certain weapons and armor and equipment to make it do a certain thing. I had this one ship that I was really proud of that was a battle that allowed you to ram and deal tons of damage, and then deal tons of damage up close and gain all this speed. And it healed while you rammed. So even though it was technically a flimsy ship, you were just this like cannonball of a ship. I loved doing that build, but the problem is once it was done with that build, what am I using it for? Just grinding for another build. I literally just moved to another ship and started doing another build. There's no reward at the end of the rainbow. And I think that's the big problem with Skull and Bones. And I think the biggest problem with Skull and Bones 2 is the people in charge of what's at the end of the rainbow are looking at it like they want cosmetics. They want battle passes. They want this. The things that you are getting rewarded with is not something we want. What we want is we want to actually influence the world around us. We want to feel like our characters are making an impact in that world. And they need to start giving us that. Okay. So did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? Look, at the end of the day, I have had a ton of fun with Skull and Bones. I've played it well over 50 hours, well over 100 hours. I loved the game. I just can't bring myself to keep doing that loop anymore. And I cannot support Ubisoft anymore in good conscience. I've talked about it on the podcast. I'm not going to get into it here. But that being said, I would love to see Skull and Bones succeed, because I do think the developers behind it want it to. But they need to start thinking about what they can do, like the reward being influence over the game world and the story and less about coats and cosmetics. So, I don't know. Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? You guys can let me know in the comments below. I'm going to do another episode next week. It's going to be a real tough one because I've decided to do basically a game that I think is perfect. So, we'll talk about that. See you guys then.